Simon is an early childhood professional, and she's done a whole lot of work in the education space. In fact, if you visit her page, talking early years, you understand what I'm talking about. She's an authority when it comes to early childhood education, and she's doing an incredible work at 𝗘𝗶𝘆 School Resource Center in Abuja, and it's been instrumental to the setting up and scaling up of the early childhood centers in most schools in the north, and from our base in Abuja. And it is a great honor to have Eno Simon here with us.
Thank you so much, 𝗘𝗶𝘆. It's an honor to be on your platform. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. So we're going to be talking on demystifying early childhood concepts. So we're going to be looking at the composition and how to learn. Because most of the time, learning do not take place because most early childhood educators do not know how to teach this younger population.
Thank you for that question, 𝗘𝗶𝘆. Early childhood or early years are the most crucial years in a child's life. They are the foundation of a child's learning and development. What my child is going to be in the future depends on the kind of experiences that they have during their early childhood. And so this is very important. The kind of adult-child interaction, the kind of attachments that they form, all those play a part in who children are going to be as adults in the future. Now, in the early years, I usually refer it to someone preparing for a marathon. You know, if you want to engage in a marathon, you have to invest a huge amount of time, energy, resources, preparing yourself for that race. So for early years, I usually say it's the critical foundation for a lifelong journey. That's what I term early years in early years. So all the practice, all the skills, all the development, all the learning, the fundamentals are being established in the early years. And as the child grows on, every other learning is a build-up on what the child has learned in the early years. How children feel about themselves, how they respond to other people in their environment, the kind of decisions that they will make depend on the kind of experiences that they have in the early years. Now, research says that between 1 to 3 years of age, the child's brain develops at 80%. And by the age of 5 years, the child's brain develops at 90%. Those are significant figures that have been put out there by researchers and by authorities in the field. So you see that adult-child interaction and play helps to build the children's brains. As adults are interacting with the children, the brains are making connections. And with repeated experiences, the connections get stronger and stronger, and they begin to form a pathway in the child's mind. And when the child wants to think or solve problems, they refer the brain and engineer it in a way that the child gets to tap into those experiences that they have, almost like reference points. In the early years as well, children form critical attachments with their primary caregivers. They form critical attachment with their primary caregivers, and their primary caregivers are usually mainly their parents. When they are born, they form that bond with the parents, and learning starts from home. So parents have the role of teaching their children certain skills, certain values, and every other thing. When they now move into early childhood settings and bring those students to us, and to every other early childhood practitioner that is watching us live, you as an early childhood practitioner automatically becomes the primary caregiver. And so it is your duty to help that child form that care for them. Children want to know that they are in the hands of a responsive adult. Someone that when they cry, the person understands what the cry means. When they do the 𝗰𝗵𝗁 dance, the person understands what the 𝗰𝗵𝗁 dance is. You know, 𝗰𝗵𝗁 dance for young children, when they want to wee, if they don't know how to say, I want to use the toilet, I want to wee, they just move their bodies. Some adults who are like key persons who work with children understand the 𝗰𝗶 dance. When children go to a certain corner and squat for some time and look very funny, the caring adults know that child is doing number 2, going in the corner. So the caring adults form that secure attachment, and it's very important for both parents and adults that are working with children. Because what happens with children when those secure attachments are formed is that they feel confident. They feel like I have someone who I can run back to. I have a secure base. I have someone that I can run to in case of anything. So they feel confident to explore the world. So during play, because I talked about what helps build those brain development, I talked about the experiences that they have, and play is part of it. Play is central to whatever happens in early years between birth to 5 years. I'm talking about children from birth to 5 years. Play is critical. Because when children are playing, a lot of learning is happening. They are building their communication and language skills. They are building their social and emotional skills. They are developing physically as they're running around, as they're moving, they're handling things, and they're learning all that physical development skills. They're learning as well. And also, they're developing intellectually. They're learning how to think and how to solve problems. So you see that when we're talking about 21st century skills, it starts from early years. And it comes in those everyday simple things that we do. When children are playing together, they're learning to collaborate, they're learning to play alongside others, they're learning to play collaboratively with other children in their space. They're learning to communicate with people. We're talking about communication. When they're playing on their own, they're learning to solve problems. We're talking about problem solving, they have issues within themselves. They're learning to solve problems. Sometimes as they're young, they may not have the problem solving skills. They may just snatch a toy because they don't have the language to say, please, may I have it? They just snatch it because they want it. And the other one may either start crying or go and point at the teacher and say, oh, you took my toy or something. So problem solving skills, all the 21st century skills are embedded in early years. In fact, it starts from early years. Now, in early childhood educators, pay good attention to the kind of provisions that they provide for children. When we are talking about 21st century skills, it will be walked over because it's already what is being done in the early years.
Thank you so much. So what are the progress indicators? What are the milestones in the early years community?
Now, progress indicators are is how we measure children's learning and development.
Okay.
Right? Those are those indicators that show us that this child is developing properly, or this child is developing beyond their age range, or is emerging, or is still developing. So if once we know what those milestones are, what those indicators are, we're able to assess the children, we're able to plan for them, we're able to know what the baseline is and what the end line is. We're able to determine what the gaps are and be able to plan to fill up those gaps.
Okay.
So that you can look at the indicators under different areas of learning. For example, for personal, social, and emotional development, your indicators are checking how is this child able to make relationships with other people?
Okay.
Is this child able to separate from their parents without struggle? Now, let me stop there to say that children develop at different rates and at different times. So some children come into an early childhood setting, and for the first, some just walk in and they don't cry, they leave. Others will come in, they won't cry for the first 3 days. After the 10 days, they start to say, why am I not crying? They just start crying. Others will cry for 1 week, some will cry for a month. Others will find a way to attach it if they have two caregivers in the environment. One child will want to, the child will be observing to see who likes me, who responds to me when I cry, who can I trust. When they discover that this one responds to me more, they will attach themselves to that one as their secure base. I mean, studying the other ones to find out, okay, can I trust you? Are you showing me signs? Because the truth is, children know when somebody loves them. They know when you are pretending, and they know when it's real. So children are able to form relationships based on what they perceive of whoever they are relating. Now that is how the indicator, is this child able to separate from the parents? Is this child able to settle in a new environment? Is this child able to make relationships with other adults in that environment except apart from the one they are attached to? Is this child able to play alongside other children? Is this child able to play cooperatively with those children? Does this child understand his or her emotions? Can she regulate her emotions? Even if she's crying, is there a way that the child can calm him or herself? Or does the child depend on an adult to help to calm him? So we're looking at the child Does the child know that some toys belong to me, some belong to others, and some belong to everybody to share? Because some children in early years, especially between 1 and 2, they don't know how to share. That's a skill that they've not learned. So they feel like everything in that school or in that early childhood setting belongs to them, so nobody else should touch it. So there are some milestones that educators or early childhood practitioners should know, that at the point the child is supposed to learn to know that this thing belongs to me, this thing belongs to her, this other thing belongs to everybody and can be shared. Now let me talk about physical development. There are milestones in physical development as well. Can children sit at a certain age? Can they stand and walk and run at a certain age? Can they hold things with one hand? Can they move something from one hand to the other hand? Can they feed themselves? Can they sit up without support? Can they take care of their personal hygiene, wash their hands? And can they tell you if when they want to use the toilet, are they potty trained at a point? Because that one is a process. It takes time for different children. Potty trained. When are they toilet trained? Can they feed themselves? Can they drink from a cup? All those indicators under physical development. Now, if you're looking at communication and language, this is very important. You're checking to see if a child is able to pay attention, if a child is able to listen. Because sometimes you have adults who don't know how to pay attention, and I say that they do not go to a good early childhood setting. If you went to a good early childhood setting, those milestones, those indicators would have been ticked off. Adults in that place should have been able to support them to see that they achieve those milestones. Are you able to listen? Are you able to pay attention? Are you able to express yourself, use yourself, using words? Because some children at some point they use gestures. At the point they begin to use words. So you're checking, are you able to express yourself using words, or are you still using gestures? Are you expressing yourself using the right language? How much vocabulary do you have? You understand? So you're checking all those things. Do you understand instructions? I'm talking about communication and language. If somebody speaks to you, do you understand in simple instruction, one directed instruction or one direction instruction? At this point, you'll be able to, when the child develops to some point, the child may be able to understand so directed instruction like, I'd like you to give me the red pen, and then after you give me the red pen, take this book to Mrs. B. I want to get you to go and tell Mrs. B. No, you have those different direct. When children are very young, they don't understand those complex instructions. Yes, they understand just one. So with time, when you know the indicators, you're able to track and see between that 3 to 5 years old, is this child able to follow instruction? Because following instruction is a skill that is necessary when you're going to primary school, because one of the things that early childhood does is that preparing you for life. It also prepares you for primary school, when you're going to meet a larger crowd of people. Are you able to take care of your own personal needs, or do you wait for people to always do that for you? So those are milestones under what I call the prime areas of learning. Those are to you about was about development, because it has to be balanced.
Yeah.
You have development and you have learning. It cannot be one-sided. Every time you're teaching ABC, the letter A says you're teaching 1, 2, 3, you're teaching writing. What about this other aspects of learning? How children are making relationships, how they're managing their behavior and emotion, how they're listening and paying attention, how they're forming relationships with other people. Several things. Are they able to feed themselves? Because, let me tell you, there are some children in school, say they are 2 years old. In school, they can feed themselves. They will take the spoon, scoop the rice, put in their mouth, eat, finish everything. At home, because they have nannies, they will just sit back and open their mouth. So the nanny does the food. So they've not learned that skill. The nanny does the food. I discovered that when you always report to parents and say that, your child finished the food, sometimes parents will look at you and like, finish rich food. Are you sure you did not throw the food away or something? But sometimes when they have those concerns and you do a video of the child feeding herself and send to the parent, they will become shocked that, so you can do this in school, but at home you're pretending. So different milestones for that. Now when you come to literacy, that's when you're talking about reading and writing. And the fundamental for reading and writing has to do with the letter sound.
Yeah.
You need to teach the letter sound. And you need to know the correct sound to teach the letter sound. You cannot just be teaching letter sound because it's letter sound. So teachers have to learn the correct sound so they can teach the correct sound. That's for literacy. Because when they know the sounds and they begin to blend those sounds, then they can form words. Then they can read words, they can read phrases, then they can read sentences. And then you're paying attention. Is the child able to hold their writing material, like the pen or their pencil, using the tripod grip? Or do they have a good pencil grip? And do they have a good sitting position, sitting posture? Is their paper orientation right? And all that, they put their feet on the ground. And all those things, those are indicators on that writing. Are they forming the letters and numbers properly? Are they writing on the line? And all those things. And then we're looking at numeracy. For numeracy, you're looking at counting, right? Counting objects. The counting objects, you're learning about shapes, different types of shapes. You're measuring things. Using measuring tape. Sometimes the children may not know the scientific unit for it, but they just have those measuring tapes that they can measure the things. They can scoop, they can get a scale. If the schools provide those simple resources, a scale where children can put a stone and put a ball and see which one weighs more and which one doesn't. So all those kind of indicators for measure, understanding the world. Do they know about other cultures? Do they know about animals? Do they know about places? Do they know about people in other parts of the world? You know, those are indicators. They understand technology, how to operate simple toy equipment, battery run equipment, phones, tabs. Do they know how to operate those things? Can they get information by themselves using those materials and all that? Then you look at expressive arts and design. Are children creative? Can they combine colors to form something? If you give them a paper, can they express themselves, creatively without you being the one to draw a circle? Okay, that circle, color it red. And then that leaf, make sure the leaf is green. Instead of, are you directing it, or are you allowing them to paint the sky red or paint the sky green? Let them, express their own creativity. When you have role-play corners in your setting, are you allowing children to play freely and initiate that play? So there are different indicators under every area of learning where early childhood educators need to pay attention to. And what is key is that every single person who works with young children in the early years needs to know what those indicators are, so that they will be able to plan activities for the children.
Thank you so much. So this brings me to the next question, and 𝗏𝗏 has said something here. So she says, I think Nigerian schools have always ignored development. They only focus on learning alphabet and numbers. So this brings me to the question now. Do you think, from your experience in working, training teachers and setting up early years centers, do you think that the educational system in this country has been able to some good extent sufficiently cater for the early years community?
Now, to answer that question, I would like to say not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
Now, I want to look at the public sector and the private sector.
Yeah.
Most schools in the private sectors have become open-minded. They are listening to what's happening in other parts of the world. They are following the trends. They are looking out for best practices. They are seeing how they can take those information and bring them into their settings and improve the environment, improve their provisions, improve the activities that they do. Pay attention to the quality of teachers that they employ. So people in the private sector are paying attention to those key elements that make up the quality early childhood provision. On the other hand, for the public sector now, I just been talking about private sector.
Yeah.
On the other hand, for the public sector, I want to say that they tried a bit, but not as much as they should. A lot still needs to be done. One good thing about the public sector is that once you walk into a primary school that hosts an early childhood setting, a public primary school, one good thing is that they have a large class size.
Okay.
The size of the classroom is big. It is well ventilated. The windows are big. Fresh air comes in and comes out. You have natural light coming into that environment. However, you also find that from my experience from the schools, because I've worked in about 40 schools in northern Nigeria, setting up the early childhood settings training the teachers and experts. So I'm talking from my place of from my own experience of the public school that I have worked with. Okay, so you see that now sometimes you go to the classroom and there are no tables at all. Children are sitting on the floor. Sometimes you have way over 100 or something, over 200 children in the early years sitting on the floor. All right, and then if you find furniture, you have those those desks that are attached to the bench.
Yes.
Right, so it's that size. It's not a child size furniture. It's not meant for young children like 3 years old. So, but that's what you find most of the time there. So the child size furniture that should help, that should be in early childhood settings are not there. Sometimes you find that because some NGOs are doing some work with public schools, you see that there are some teachers that are trained. Because those NGOs have gone there to train those teachers. So when you go into some schools in the northern states, you see that they have role play corners, they have resources, they have child size tables and all those. And those are some of the things that you also went. You wanted to do with one teacher. So the adult child ratio is outrageous. You have one teacher in front of how many children. So the teachers are not able to assess each child's learning. They're not able to give children that one-on-one attention. They don't know if you're learning or you're not learning. Everything is one size fits all. Whatever I say, everybody, yes, I understand, and that's fine. And the right things, who knows if the teachers even have time to mark those things. So the furniture, most of them don't have that. The teachers, some of them have their NCE and every other qualification, but they're not trained to work with young children. It's a different thing to have your BN and every other degree, but are you trained to work with young children? So some who have experienced the interventions from NGOs and other development organizations have upskilled themselves, while a lot of teachers have not even had that experience. So we're looking at the quality of teachers. That's something that's of concern. The kind of furniture there, and then toilets.
Yeah.
You go to a public school, they have one toilet for the whole school. Both boys and girls use. Most boys and girls use all boys and girls use one toilet, and that's not hygienic. But in some private schools, you have that. Toilets are usually in built, and you have some size for boys, some size for girls, and all that. So, so you're looking at that. Then they have a big outdoor space, lovely space. Private schools, if you touch private schools, that space, you transform that space for you. So, but sometimes you find in some schools they have the play materials, but some schools don't have.
Yeah.
Some schools don't have that. Just have trees and go, which is lovely. Children can climb trees. Children can ride tires. They can play games. But sometimes they just come and run around. You understand? Sometimes teachers, they don't go for free. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. Even in private schools. When we do consultancy for some private schools, I was doing like assessment for the schools and everything. Some teachers, the outdoor play is on the timetable, but the children don't go outdoors to play. Why? They say you have work to do. What kind of work do you have to do in early childhood settings that play is not involved? Some of them say, this one is so hot, I beg, let's wait. Because somebody is supervising, they say, let's go for 5 days, and they run back. The children don't have time to play. Even the outdoor space is not set up. The outdoor space is not set up with learning areas and materials that children can go and play. So adults, even in both ways, have to be intentional about how they set up their environment. Now, another special thing is special needs children. Some people in private schools have special needs facilities. Some people who don't have the facilities in-house have maybe 1 or 2 teachers who are trained special needs educators. Some who don't have special needs educators collaborate with other organizations that provide that service. So that if they have a child that has special needs, what they do is they have special needs support come into the school. All right? So the parents that have gone to that special needs organization and done their assessment, got their results and everything. Yes. The supervisor don't want stress. She's 100% correct. So you have that partnership with people people in special needs organizations, they do the assessment, they send in a trained person, while the general educator is working with every other child. This one is approaching this special needs. But sometimes in public school, you have a building that's called special needs something because an NGO came up with that building there. And it may not be functional, it may be functional, but what we're saying is that if the government has invested in something, if NGOs have invested in facilities and resources and training teachers, let there be somebody to monitor that, to ensure quality control, to ensure maintenance. You cannot invest a lot of money, set up things, and it's just there. Sometimes you go there, the teachers are under the tree on a mat, eating and drinking nono, while others don't know exactly what else to do. So you see that there are so many things. We still have a long way to go. It's expensive to run an early childhood setting. Very expensive. If you go to an early childhood setting, say in Lagos or in Abuja, anywhere, and let the head tell you how much has invested in that small place, you'll be surprised at how much that costs. So you see that we still have a long way to go. We're trying, but there's a lot to be done.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So now, what is, I think that there is a little bit of controversy on the curriculum to be run for the early years. So what would you advise, or which curriculum would you say is the proper and recommended one for the early years? For something, we were using this curriculum, some were using it, so there seems to be a little bit of conflict on which particular curriculum should be used.
Well, by Nigeria, normally we're supposed to use our Nigerian curriculum, but even with the Nigerian curriculum, there's a way that you can bring it to life if you have been trained. You understand what I mean?
Sure.
You may not have all the development and learning components like you have with the 𝗂𝗵𝗁.
Yeah.
You may not have it like you have in the international primary curriculum. You may not have it like you have in the Montessori. But if you've had all those experiences, the way you can infuse those to bring the Nigerian curriculum to life. Every school has their own. If you're in Nigeria, you should use the Nigerian curriculum, but there's allowance for you to choose curriculum that works for you. So you may choose to go with the 𝗂𝗵𝗁, or you may choose to go with the Montessori, or you may choose to go with the 𝗂𝗵𝗁, or you can choose to go with any other one. But what is key is that every child must develop right, and you must document their developmental journey and their learning journey, and you must give them a wide learning experience so they're not limited to counting numbers and writing letters and telling you sounds. They know about what's happening in other parts of the world. They know about how other children and other people, what's happening in other parts of the world. So they know so many more things. They know how to relate with people. They're learning new languages. Some schools bring in French instructors to teach their children French. Some people bring in different, to teach them different languages.
Yeah.
Some schools bring in karate, ballet, different kinds. They bring in African dance instructors to teach their children many more extra skills. So children are learning, and so that the children are learning and they're developing right. And you as an adult who's working with the child, you are able to track this development by making observations. When you make your observation, you are going to think over and you're assessing the child's learning, and from the information you get from that assessment, you're beginning to plan for that child, because not every child learns the same way. Other children are slower, other children have different learning styles. You need to know what their learning styles are so you'll be able to meet their learning. So, number one thing that every early childhood educator and parents should know is that every child is unique. Every child is different. Please do not compare child A to child B. Do not compare a child in school A to another child in school B. They are all learning at different rates and different paces. So let's discover what their strengths are. Let's discover what their weaknesses are. Let's discover what their skills are, what they enjoy doing, how they enjoy learning, and then we'll work from there. That's one thing. Remember that every child is unique. Do not compare one to the other. Number two is that children need to learn and thrive in a positive environment where there's positive relationship, between the parents and the school, where there's positive relationship between the parent and the teachers, where there's positive relationship between teachers and teachers, where there's positive relationship between teachers and children, where there's positive relationship between children and children, where there's positive relationship between everybody. That is where they thrive in an environment where there is positive relationship, where children know that I have responsive adults here. These adults care for me. They care for my safety. They want me to be happy. They want me to grow up as a confident child, very expressive, respectful, and all that. So that is that. They need to remember that there has to be positive relationship. Number 3, that parents and educators need to remember is that educators need to provide an enabling environment. An environment that has everything that children need to learn and thrive. Play spaces, play resources, learning materials, suitable adults, knowledgeable adults in the space. Because sometimes you have adults in the space in your early childhood setting and they're not knowledgeable. Let me take creche, for example. You have somebody working in the creche and you're thinking that, let me just bring that somebody to come and work in the creche. It's just creche. Now what are they doing? They're just sleeping, eating, fooding, and that's it. But creche is a very crucial stage of learning. That's birth to 1, birth to 11 months is very crucial. Whoever is working in the creche needs to be trained, needs to have knowledge. Because sometimes, if someone is working in the creche and does not know that by the age of 4, a child's neck should be steady, right? Or at the age of 5 months or 4 months, when you lift up the child, if the child is lying on his back and you lift the child up, at 3 months the head will lag behind. But at 4 months, the neck should become steady. If somebody doesn't know, at 5 months the head is still lagging, and they say, this child, I don't know what to do. They go better laughter. They will not report that to the parent. Do you understand? Yeah. So that is the problem. If a child is not rolling over or developing right, the person needs to know. Yeah. They may come and keep the child in an environment that is just quiet. And between birth to 3 months, children are learning unconsciously. They are absorbing everything in their environment, everything that they hear, everything they see, everything they smell. They are absorbing those things. So you cannot have a creche that is quiet. Play your nursery rhyme. Let there be music in the background. The children are absorbing the words in those songs. Make sure that you check the songs before you play. Don't go and bring one that has some kind of words there. Somebody just go and play one music and the child will be learning something that they're not supposed to learn. Make sure that the grammar and the language in that song is right for children because they will absorb it. Now, when they are not able to speak yet, what they're doing is they're absorbing, they're building their receptive language, so they're creating their word bank. As you're talking to them every day, they're building their word bank. As they're hearing music, they're building their word bank. As you're reading stories to them, they're building their word bank. By the time they have reached that developmental stage where they're ready to speak, all the words that they've been hearing, they will speak everything. That's why you see that when you put a child in a language-rich environment, when they start to speak, the grammar is correct. They make their tenses right. They speak well. You wonder, who taught you? How come? Because you have put them in a language environment where you're providing good quality interactions and good quality resources. So,
wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. This particular one has been mind-blowing. Wow. Thank you so much. So, as we begin to bring it to a close, what are some of the things that parents or caregivers should see and be alarmed in an early child?
If you're 1 year old is not sitting for 30 minutes and listening to you talk, the 1 year old is walking around the class, touching everything, it's okay. Don't worry. That's how toddlers learn. They must move around. So don't say this child has to walk around. Why is he always walking around? Toddlers to move around. So if you see your toddler moving around, it's okay. If your child is pick up the crayon and start writing on the wall, it's okay. What you should do is redirect it. Take them what they should write on paper, in the individual whiteboard, whatever. Let them go from wall to another big material that they can work on. If if your child is not writing 1 to 200 at age 2, 1 to 200 at age 2, it's not a problem. Please, don't insist that this my 2-year-old must write 1 to 200. Your child is still developing. Let your child develop. Let the child's muscles develop. Let them engage in other activities, painting, coloring, play-doh. Let them move around, build their muscles. Let them learn how to feed themselves, concentrate. There's so many other things that they need to learn. So don't worry about that. But if your child is not speaking, is not using words at age 3, it should be concerned. They are not speaking. They're not using language at age 3. They're almost, maybe age 4, they're almost on their own. Every time they want to play. Other children are playing, but they are on their own, playing by themselves. You may observe that for some time and see the other occasions that they interact with other children. So we had one child sometime, so the child came to the setting, so you do the assessment and everything. Sometimes you may not be able to catch everything on a one-day assessment, but as the child is with you, you'll be able to discover something. So when you call the child's name, the child does not respond to his name. The child is about 3 years or something, not responding to his name. You throw a large book on the floor that will make a sound. The child will not turn, you know. So after some time, we spoke to the parents or spoke to the special needs person and everything, and they went to check the child had a hearing impairment. So those are things that you should check. If your 4-year-old is still pulling on himself, is not potty trained, that's an issue because by 2 years they should have been potty trained. Okay. So there are some other things that you need to check. But if your child is not writing at age 2, it's not reading a whole novel at age 2 or 3, don't be worried. There's time to learn that. Let's have the environment set up in the way that children are absorbing and they're learning unconsciously. And the teachers know what they're doing. They know which skills to teach when, so that it's a build up. When the time comes for them to blend and okay, can know all that. And then also checking their development and checking their behavior at the same time.
Thank you very much. Some people who are going to watch the replay, and some of the NES educators who are also here live, and those who are watching the replay, the need for them to ask for resources that can help them in their journey. So I wanted to ask, do you run trainings, or do you have like a platform? Because continuous training is very important, and most of the things you are saying, there may be some who don't even have an idea of all of this. So do you run training? Do you have an organization that runs training for early years educators?
Yes. So I work with the School Resource Center and we run trainings. I'm the head of training and development.
Okay.
And I also have talking early years, and I also do some trainings there as well. In full agreement with my boss, so she knows that I'm doing that as well. So
okay.
We do trainings at the School Resource Center. We do school assessment at the School Resource Center. We do staff auditing at the School Resource Center. We do all the stuff. So yes, we do trainings for any.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the director is like saying, how effective is online learning for early years?
Well, that's a very big question. Online learning for early years. Oh my God, it has been a struggle for younger children because young children learn when they have that physical life interaction with adults. That's how they learn. They want to see someone. They want to be around other people. So children younger than 3, like 1 to 3 years old, it's hard for, hey, my friend is here, she's the child. Okay, so online learning for them may be very difficult to deliver for younger children. So what should parents want is they're asking for some adults to come home and give that one-on-one attention to children. But children from 3 years and up, as long as you don't do the online learning every day, you're able to shuffle it. Yeah, you can do a short online session a day or 2 in a week, and then you give work to be sent home. You send work materials home, and parents are accountable. There's a platform where they can respond to you, submit works that have been done, sending video evidences. So children are doing live activities at home that are linked to learning, depending on their age. So if you do 100% online learning without those background support, like sending work materials home, sending parents activity ideas that they can do with materials that they have at home, it may not be completed. So if you're doing an online learning, it has to be backed up with those activities that you send for parents to help facilitate for children.
Thank you so much. So, final thought. I would like you to share your experience having worked in the early years education, early years field for about over 15 years. I'd like you to share your experience. What has the experience been? And if you can pick up some things that will help us, those of us that were just starting out.
Okay. My early years experience has been an amazing journey, a very interesting one, a one that is full of learning and growing and developing and everything. I've worked the capacity of a teacher and as management as well. So I started from an early years assistant and I grew into being an early years teacher, early years coordinator, early years as junior administrator. I'm moving to the school administrator, the head of school. So I've come all the way up the ladder. And I've learned some incredible lessons along the way. One, as I want to share, is my experience with a child, a 3-year-old whom the teachers were having difficulties teaching. So you teach the child about letters and numbers and colors and shapes and other things. The child will learn it today, and in the next few minutes, the child doesn't even understand what you're talking about. Like, the child doesn't know what you're saying. So this thing happened for some time, and I had to step into the situation. So I said that, let's observe this child and find out what she likes. Let's start with what she likes. So this is what happened. So now, observe that this child likes playing in a toy house. We have a toy house outside, a big one, colorful one. The child likes playing with the ball, and when the child is in class, her mouth is big. Ask the question, she will not answer you. If she wants to talk, she will talk in whispers. You will know, you put your ear near her mouth, you know what she's saying. But when she's outdoors, right, you can be upstairs and you hear her voice, the loudest of all voices. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Or we discovered that because in that we discovered what's making her talk so much when she's outdoors. She has a friend. When she's with that friend, she talks freely, right? So we decided to we have done an observation because for early years observations are key. You have to do observation. So we said, okay, she likes the house. She likes balls. She likes this friend. When she's with this friend, she talks a lot. So we use what she likes to help her. So in class, we put her close to the friend that she likes to talk with. So she's sitting next to the friend. And the friend knows everything. The friend has good memory. The child, whatever you see the friend, she remembers and she can say it back. So we put her with that child, with that friend. So when she's in class, because she feels comfortable talking with that child, and child is answering questions, she also wants to do the same thing. She also wants to do the same thing. Then we went to the toy house and we put the letters and numbers all over. And we told her friend that every morning when she comes to school, and she drops her bag, we want you to take her to the toy house. You both of you should go and play there. As you're playing them, we're teaching her those things. We put numbers and letters on the balls that she likes. So when it's time to play, she's playing with the balls that have letters and numbers, and she's playing with her friend. So we use what she likes to help her learn. And because before this time, the mother was saying, why is she not learning? She was worried. Why is it that she's not learning? Her friend in the other school, the same is doing better than her. You get that comparison I was talking about. So, so we now did that, and surprisingly, the child she picked up so fast because we used what she liked to teach her what she needed to learn. So that's one experience. Another experience is if you have early years educators that are watching me live, and those of you that are going to watch the replay, if you have CCTV, let it not be there for furniture. You need to go back and check what's happening. Besides the CCTV, you need to do your rounds. Go to all the classes, observe what is happening. Because sometimes you may not walk in there to catch what's happening, but somebody may walk in there and hear what is happening. Somebody gives you a hint, you better take note. All right, so you go there and check what is happening. You know that when you put the CCTV for the first few weeks, everybody's conscious of CCTV. Yeah. After a few, they forget that there's CCTV and they begin to behave the way that they like to behave. So you see an adult beating a child, pushing a child on the floor, and all that. So you're thinking to yourself, what does the policy say when this kind of thing happens? There's no time to say, please change your behavior. You're going straight away because you cannot be a hazard to a child. You cannot cause harm to the child. So if you have CCTV, let it not be there for furniture. Let parents know that you have CCTV. do your rounds, go back and do your replays, do your observations, and take action for whatever information that you have. I have so many experiences, but we don't have time to share all of them. I wish you had so much about that. Share a lot. I made a mistake. Can I share one mistake that I made? I made a mistake when I started working early. Oh my God! I had a lovely early childhood experience. I went to Montessori early childhood setting. So I had a lovely time. I had time to play outdoors, climb monkey climbing, monkey frame, all those climbers. We played the sand, we had water play, and then they would bring us resources and we'll keep picking what we wanted. And every time they bring resources, I kept picking puzzles. So that's what I like to. So that's what I like to do. I like Play-Doh, colorful stuff. I like to be creative with my hands. I like my childhood. So when I'm working in early childhood settings, I like to bring in those early childhood experiences into my practice. Because children of these days stay indoors, day in, day out. They don't know what is happening outside. They don't play in the rain. They don't climb trees. They don't ride tires. They don't. You know those sands. When I was young, when you have this sand, right? It's clear and smooth. When you look at it, you see something moving and there's a hole. When you dig it out, you see an insect. Children don't even know that kind of stuff happens. So I like to bring in these early childhood experiences into my setting. So this happens. So one day, I've been looking for colored sand all my life because I want you to experience very colored sand. So one woman that came out with colored sand, precious colored sand, and I bought all the colors. Then one child went and because he did something. So this is a mistake that I made that I train people not to do now because of my experience. So the child did something, and at that time I did not know how to deal with that behavior. So I put it in the corner, right? Yeah. And then we all went out to play, and we left him there. So I felt like this place is safe. There's nothing here that will harm him. So I left him. By the time I came back, the child had turned my color sand, red, yellow, blue, everything. He mixed everything. And you know colors and you cannot separate the thing. Oh my God. I was so like, how can you do that? How can you do that? So I now went to my line manager and said, this child has to pay. This child has to pay. But that was not the right reaction. I should not have put that child without an adult supervision. I should have let that child in that room on his own. If you're living through there has to be an adult there. So that if the child wants to calm down or throw tantrum, there's somebody to observe what's going on. So that was number one mistake. And then when the child spoils something, you cannot just pick up one and say, hey, you have to pay, write letter to parents, say, your child broke this, you have to pay. Does your policy say so? What does your policy say? So those are like, that's one mistake I made. I made a couple of mistakes that when I want to train people, I tell you, I did this, so don't do that. So I'm not telling everything because the time is really short. Yeah.
Thank you so much. People to your mistakes, to your success stories so that they can learn from your mistakes. Thank you very much. It's been a practical session with you. Thank you so much. Looking forward to having a game. And this time it's going to be on Zoom, so we can have enough time to really go into this early because I see it's wonderful time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And I want to say big thank you on behalf of everyone watching and those that will watch the replay. I want to say big thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And to all the participants, thank you so much for your time. I really cannot call out everyone's name, but I see all of you and I want to say thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asuko. I'm so glad to be on your platform today. I'm always calling people to my platform and asking questions. Today was my turn, like, oh yeah, come. Today is your turn. Come on, come. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been an honor. Yes.
Thank you.
Take the child. Thank you. That's my sister, Ilua. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who joined in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.